you mentioned food as one of the levers you can affect, and I was really fascinated because when I was going through your advice on your website, I noticed you mentioned the Grandmaster diet, which I assume has to do with chess players. And talk to me about this. How did you come upon this diet, if this is the one that works for you, as something to focus on?
So this is referring to an article which really blew me away about chess grandmasters. So as a student of high performance and a top player in a very competitive field such as poker, I'm always looking to what are the best in other competitive fields doing, and is this something that potentially carries over to either what I'm teaching or what I'm doing at the poker tables. And so a couple things that I saw that grandmasters were doing that really struck me as interesting. Um, First was the level of attention that they were giving to their physical bodies. So, top players like Magnus Carlsen playing 2 to 3 hours of tennis every single day. I recently picked up tennis based off of reading this article because tennis is an incredibly mentally intense game, right? It's verbal jujitsu played out in racket form, and there's a really strong mental component to tennis. But obviously, you have to be incredibly physically fit. That playing a chess tournament, just like playing a marathon cash game session or a multi-day tournament, is a physical pursuit just as much as it's a mental pursuit. And so it really emphasized, hey, like when I was in my early days of poker, I'll just give like the total counter example. When I was coming up the ranks and I'd never been in a gym before. I was like, my dinner was whatever could be delivered to my room. So a lot of times that was pizza or other fried stuff. I was drinking soda to like stay awake during sessions. And the more that I met other top players and realized, oh, you're doing things a little bit differently, or saw what the top players in other fields were doing, it's like, oh, I need to be like my body needs to be a temple. Like I don't put anything in there. Not, I don't take caffeine. I don't like every macro that I take is like pretty carefully tracked. And like doesn't mean that I eat clean like chicken breast and broccoli every single day, but I know from experience that my body and my mind are one. They are one and the same. And so the shape that I'm in affects my ability to perform. And when my energy drops, my attention drops and I make bad decisions. Another surprising one that I found with from the Grandmaster Diet piece was the level of attention they took to experimenting with the angle of their neck. That it was found that if their neck angle, imagine you're leaning over a board for hours, was too acute, not enough oxygen was making it to their brain, and thus like they were likely to make blunders because literally their brain's not getting enough oxygen. So it was a good encouragement for me to experiment with chairs and different positioning of, hey, if I'm going to be sitting for 8 to 12 hours, I want to make sure that I'm able to maintain and sit in a position that's optimal, that I'm not having these energetic leaks occurring in my body. So yeah, these seeing what other people doing in other fields, I think is incredibly instructional because it illuminates these unknown unknowns. Like these are things that I wouldn't even have known to experiment with, that were opportunities for a competitive advantage until I saw, well, if someone else who's having these types of results is putting this much effort into it, it's probably something that's worth trying. And that's really how my poker game has built over the years. Is I see someone doing something that's working really well, and it goes, maybe I should be trying that too. And I do, and just kind of cobbling together all these mini superpowers into one giant superpower.